Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Global AM News here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agumofwebe, reminding our viewers that Global Television is on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. President Bola Tinubu has ordered the Nigerian armed forces and security agencies to decisively confront terrorists, bandits, insurgents, and separatist agitators threatening the nation's unity and peace, delivering the president's message at the grand finale of the 2025 Nigerian Army Day celebration held at Murtala Square in Kaduna State. The country's Vice President, Kashim Shettima, declared that the military has the full backing of the presidency to act without fear or hesitation. The president described terrorism, insurgency, banditry, and separatist movements as grave existential threats, warning that they must no longer be seen as minor disturbances. The federal government has announced a new visa initiative aimed at enhancing compliance with the new visa regime and promoting a secure migration system. The initiative allows foreigners residing in the country with expired immigration status to regularize their stay without facing penalties. Announcing the launch of the initiative in a communique in Abuja, the Nigerian Immigration Service stated that the initiative has already started running since May 1, 2025, and is expected to elapse on September 30, 2025. In a different development, the Federal Ministry of Education has announced a partnership with Amazon Web Services to deliver free digital skills training and certification to students and educators across tertiary institutions in the country. This was disclosed in a post on the ministry's official X handle as part of ongoing efforts under the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda to expand access to 21st century skills. The ministry said the program will focus on modern digital competencies, including cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, chairman of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and Governmental Organization (NGOs), has announced she will resume legislative duties tomorrow, following a court judgment nullifying a suspension. Addressing jubilant supporters in a video circulating on social media, the Kogi Central lawmaker expressed gratitude for their steadfast backing. A federal high court sitting in Abuja had ruled that her 6-month suspension from the Senate was excessive, unconstitutional, and a violation of the rights of her constituents, ordering her immediate reinstatement. Meanwhile, the Senate has acknowledged the court judgment on Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, but noted that it was yet to receive the certified true copy (CTC) of the judgment. Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, said this in a statement in Abuja. He noted that the certified true copy of the judgment is necessary for a thorough review and informed determination of the next course of action, stating that pending receipt of the certified true copy, the Senate would refrain from taking any step that might prejudice its legal position regarding Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension. The chairman of Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Solomon Adeola, says the National Assembly has a duty to ensure that no part of the country is neglected in terms of development. Senator Adeola, representing Ogun West Senatorial District, represented by his media advisor Kayode Odunaro, in a statement said this while delivering a lecture on the role of legislature in shaping a holistic budget for Nigeria at the second annual retreat of the Remo Traditional Council in Shagamu, Ogun State. The legislator said the National Assembly is using the instrument of budget to ensure that all zones of the country enjoy the dividends of democracy. Ebonyi State's Governor Francis Winfuru has advocated for the creation of additional states in the southeast region to address the imbalance in the geopolitical structure of the country. A statement issued by the governor's chief press secretary, Monday Uzo, which was made available to newsmen in the state's capital, Abakaliki, says the governor spoke when he received members of the Senate Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution. The Socio-Economic Crisis and Accountability Project (SERAP) has called on President Bola Tinubu to order an immediate investigation into allegations that senior government officials and politicians named in the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) Forensic Audit Report have obstructed its publication. In a statement, SERAP describes the obstruction or suppression of the report as an effort to undermine justice. The report, which covers the period between years 2000 and 2019, was commissioned to examine alleged financial misconduct and structural inefficiencies within the NDDC. The group expressed concern that the findings of the audits have yet to be made public and that recommendations for accountability and reform remain unimplemented. Let's take you to Edo State now, where the governor, Senator Monday Okpebolo, has approved the sum of 1 billion naira as bursary for students of Edo State origin in tertiary institutions across Nigeria. A statement by the governor's chief press secretary, Fred Itwa, noted that Okpebolo stated this during a town hall meeting with young people in the state. The governor said the initiative aligns with this administration's broader vision to enhance access to quality education, encourage academic excellence, as well as support the aspirations of Edo youths to contribute meaningfully to the development of the state and the nation. Borno State's Governor Babangana Zulum has refuted claims suggesting he is planning to defect from the All Progressives Congress (APC) to the African Democratic Congress (ADC, describing the speculation as false and politically motivated. In a statement issued by his spokesperson, Dauda Ilia, the governor said the rumor, which surfaced on some online platforms, is a baseless fabrication aimed at causing unnecessary political tension, dismissing the claim as the handiwork of individuals he described as detractors with no meaningful contributions to either the progress of Borno State or Nigeria at large. In the meantime, Governor Babangana Zulum says his government will resettle an additional 3,000 households in Malam Faturi, Badam local government area of Borno State. The governor said this while briefing newsmen shortly after a sympathy visit to the people of Malam Faturi over the recent attack by Boko Haram insurgents that claimed 9 lives and left 4 others injured. The governor, represented by the State's Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Professor Uthman Tar, said these will bring to 5,000 the total number of resettled families. Kaduna State government says it will commence free bus service for civil servants, retirees and students under its subsidized transport scheme today. Director General of the Kaduna State Transport Regulatory Authority, Inuwa Ibrahim, said this in a statement in Kaduna State. Ibrahim said the free daily transport service, which would run for an initial 6 months, is aimed at alleviating transportation challenges for key segments of the population, noting that the initiative would benefit students of both public and private schools from the primary to tertiary levels. To other news now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has vowed to stand firm against election rigging and bad governance amid growing efforts by the opposition coalition to unseat President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 general elections. In a statement shared on his verified X handle, Atiku said he made the declaration while receiving a delegation of Gombe State stakeholders led by former Minister and Senator Idris Abdullahi. The Gombe stakeholders had visited the former Vice President to pledge their loyalty to the African Democratic Congress (ADC), which the coalition recently adopted as its campaign vehicle to mount opposition against the All Progressives Congress ahead of the next general election cycle. Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, has met with members of the Anambra diaspora community in the United States and across North America as part of a town hall engagement focused on accountability and participatory governance. In a statement released ahead of the event, Soludo's press secretary Christian Aburime said the forum is consistent with the governor's approach to treating governance as a continuous contract with the people rather than a task tied to election cycles. The meeting held in Maryland is part of the series of outreach efforts by the governor to provide updates on his administration's policies and progress while gathering feedback from citizens living abroad. And back home, the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has threatened a nationwide mass action over the deepening cost of living crisis, escalating insecurity, and coordinated attacks on workers' rights. Rising from its Central Working Committee meeting held at the June 12 Cultural Center in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital, the group stated that the hardship faced by workers and the poor has reached intolerable levels and immediate action must be taken to avert a national breakdown. It warned that Nigerian workers will no longer sit idly by while the nation's economy and democracy crumble. We're on to the live broadcast of the Global AM News. When the rest of the news returns shortly, Nigerian wrestler Esther Kolawole clinches gold at Spanish Wrestling Grand Prix. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. We appreciate you for staying with us here on the Global AM News. The second part of this broadcast now returns with business, where Akwa Ibom State Governor Umo Eno has again applauded the economic reforms of President Bola Tinubu, describing it as bold initiatives with a remarkable impact on the states and others in the south-south region of the country. The governor said this while fielding questions from Government House correspondents at the Hilltop Mansion Government House in Uyo, the state capital, on his return from the All Progressives Congress Summit. Eno disclosed that the economy of Akwa Ibom State is growing steadily as lots of life-touching projects and programs are being embarked upon and tracked to meet their set targets for the benefit of the people and the state. President Bola Tinubu has assured his Brazilian counterpart, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, that he will remove all bottlenecks hindering the agricultural sector's potential, including livestock production, with a view to enabling food sovereignty and boosting exports. Stating this via his official Facebook page, the president said the programs and governments of Nigeria and Brazil also agreed to further deepen collaboration in agriculture, technology, oil and gas, energy, trade, mining and extractive industries, as well as industrial development. The 8 OPEC Plus countries, which previously announced additional voluntary adjustments in April and November 2023, namely Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria, and Oman, have met to review global market conditions and outlook. In view of a steady global economic outlook and current healthy market fundamentals, as reflected in the low oil inventories and in accordance with the decision agreed upon on 5th of December 2024 to start a gradual and flexible return of the 2.2 million barrels per day voluntary adjustments starting from 1st April this year, the 8 participatory countries will implement a production adjustment of 548,000 barrels per day in August this year, starting from July and required production level. Let's move the news beyond the shores of Nigeria now to the foreign scene, where Uganda's long-serving president, Yoweri Museveni, who is now 80-year-old, has been declared the governing party's candidate in next year's presidential election, opening the way for him to seek to extend his nearly 40 years in power. In his acceptance speech, Museveni said he had responded to the call and, if elected, would press ahead with his mission to return Uganda into a high middle-income country. Museveni's critics say he has ruled with an iron hand since he seized power as a rebel in 1986. I hear you say it's been a long time coming. Still in Africa, Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko has expressed concerns about the erosion of international norms and the growing tendency of some powerful countries to unilaterally impose their own rules. In an interview, Sonko, who was in Tianjin for the 2025 Summer Davos, criticized the United States tariff hikes on its trade partners, emphasizing that certain nations have historically asserted their influence by establishing rules that primarily serve their own interests. He noted that these countries seek to break away from these rules because the world is now shifting towards a more balanced order. Switzerland says it is reopening its embassy in Tehran, which was closed last month amid an air war with Israel, and will resume representing the United States' interest in the country. The Swiss Foreign Ministry said in a statement that the embassy is again open, having temporarily been closed on June 20 owing to the instability of the situation in the country. The statement further noted that Ambassador Nadine Olivieri Lozano and a small team had returned to Tehran, and the embassy will gradually resume operations. Tech mogul Elon Musk has announced the formation of a new political party in the United States, now called the America Party. Musk made the declaration a day after asking his followers on X whether a new political party should be created. This is coming after the tech billionaire fell out with his estranged political ally, President Donald Trump. Let's bring you some excitement from the ever-exciting world of sports now. Defending champions Nigeria and Togo are preparing to retain their titles at the 2025 International Table Tennis Africa Foundation West Africa Regional Championships in Lagos State, starting from July 16 to end on the 19th of July 2025. This confirmation was made in a statement by the Federation, which stated that the event will take place at the Teslim Balogun Stadium complex in Lagos. Nigeria, the region's most decorated team, will defend the women's team title it successfully retained in Lome last year. Nigerian wrestling sensation Esther Kolawole has continued her meteoric rise with a commanding gold medal win at the 2024 Spanish Wrestling Grand Prix in Madrid, Spain, defeating American Haley Jaffe 10-0 by superiority in the final. Kolawole, already qualified for the Paris 2024 Olympics, was dominant throughout the tournament. She overpowered Spain's Lidia Perez 10-0 in the quarterfinals, battled to a 4-1 win against Poland's Alicia Nowosad in the semifinals, wrapping up her campaign with a clinical shootout against Jaffe in the final. And it turns out that's so much for the AM news. Thank you so very much, everyone, for watching. A quick reminder that you can find Global Television on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can also follow us across all of our social media platforms using the handle at Global TV NG, as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. And Global Morning returns shortly. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Malam Jahid Garam. What a wonderful and very promising Monday it is, and that's how I say welcome to the first weekday edition of Global Morning here on Global Television. It's always a delight to know that you're joining us and making that all-important decision to be right in front of your screen just to follow the next 3 hours of what we have to bring your way. I am Uyi Agmofwebe, thanking you again very specially for joining us here on the program. I mean, if you had fun over the weekend, it's great knowing that, by Monday, you're back to what most people refer to as the hustle and bustle. But whatever you do, just ensure that you have a plan to guide you and help you chart the course of progress and success going into this new working week. First off, we need to appreciate all of those who have supported this program the last 2 years and counting. I mean, it takes a lot of commitment and loyalty to who shows how much you keep it real with Global Television. We do appreciate that and never take it for granted. As always, we're going to take our time to look at some of the big stories and events across our country And a little beyond this morning, just to give you, well, as our name implies, a global panoramic view of what the world looks like today, politically, socially, and economically. But we're going to start out just looking at some of the big stories across our national dailies. As expected, it's a Monday morning, so most of the newspapers will be brimming with headlines coming from the weekend. Just to mention, by the way, President Bola Tinubu hasn't returned to the country just yet following his extensive, tour of the Caribbean, so which got started off from St. Lucia, where he got specially honored by the government and people of that country. We've been told that visits, even though, well, opposition figures have called it ill-timed and one that lacks priority, the presidency has, again, vehemently, as always, defended it, saying that, look, this is to, amongst other things, spark some sort of cultural renaissance between Nigeria and the people in the Caribbean. On top of all that, to help strengthen the bond that exists between both sides. Well, the president has been talking about the blessing, quote unquote, of this trip. We look forward to how he's going to tie it up, and well, we're just waiting to see how Nigeria's government will itemize the benefits accruing from this huge investment. Yes, that's what it is. This trip is supposed to be an investment, given the humongous volume of resources going into it. So we'll look at all of those, and then we'll also look at the political landscape. So much has evolved the last 2 weeks or so. Last week in particular was big, because it was in the course of the week we saw, well, A-list politicians from the opposition side of things come together here in Nigeria's capital to begin what they call the walk to a coalition. They say the idea behind the coalition is to unseat President Bola Tinubu come 2027 when the elections kick in proper. Some of them say, well, the model we're looking at is something similar to what a conglomeration of political parties had done between 2013 and 2014, which ultimately gave birth to what today is referred to as the All Progressives Congress, the APC. Of course, it is on record that the APC ousted the PDP government led by former President Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in March of 2015. So 1 decade down the line, you have a pack of politicians again coming together to say, we want to replicate that same feat. Question is, have things not changed? Has the trend not been altered so far? Is it possible to bank on that model and then, of course, make it a basis for forming a coalition that will ultimately, at least that's the belief and expectation of those behind the coalition, unseat President Bola Tinubu come 2027? But then even within the coalition itself, there is the talk about who ultimately would or should be the flag bearer. There are those who say, well, Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, who also stood for election on the platform of the Labour Party in 2023, is the best fit, all right? Others say, well, Peter Obi is not the only capable, qualified individual within the fold of the coalition. There are those who also say, why don't you consider a few other persons like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar? And then the people who support Peter Obi are quick to shut down that idea because they say, well, he's a serial contender. We don't want to continue on that path. Obi is our best bet, is our competitive edge, as they say in business. So there's a lot of back and forth also going on within the fold of the coalition. We're going to unpack all of that for you in the course of the program this morning. Very quickly, let's take a break at this point, and then we'll bring you newspaper headlines. Stay with us. So we'll begin our journey, as I like to call it, into newspaper headlines this morning from the Nigerian Tribune. We start with the story, the star headline for you from the Nigerian Tribune. Let's see what it says there. It says, I'm going to contest for president in 2027. That's credited to a man whose name I mentioned in passing a while ago, Peter Obi K. There was the writer saying to us, it says, once the North to trust him, dismisses VP slot deal with Atiku. So that seems to have been laid to rest. Justifies romance with ADC, but his party gave him 48 hours to formally resign its membership of the Labour Party. Okay. Then on the right corner of the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, it says, again, Wike berates coalition leaders, accuses them of seeking power for personal interest. Northeast stakeholders hold pre-summit deliberations ahead of the Patriots confab. Find those details on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. On the left side of things, the left side of the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, killings. Tinubu orders military to crush terrorists, bandits. 39 die in Kano, Lagos, Ogun crashes. We're yet to receive CTC of judgment on Natasha, that's the Senate speaking, with a rider accompanying that headline. Kogi lawmaker vows to resume tomorrow. Yeah, she says she will resume her legislative duties tomorrow, being Tuesday. ADC plots to test coalition's strength with Lagos LG poll. Well, Lagos State's local government elections is, well, let's say basically a litmus test for the ADC. The writer says holds talks with PDP Labour Party candidates. All right, that's the much we have from the Nigerian Tribune today. So do well to grab a copy for yourself and then read up details. All right, we move on to the next paper now, the Guardian newspaper. It says, well, just three headlines immediately underneath the name master of the Guardian this morning. We'll begin with the one top left, a picture of the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero there. NLC warns against removal of labor issues from exclusive legislative lists. Sounds like a very tall order. Again, an act of parliament is required to pull that off, no doubt. All right. Tariff hike slows new phone lines activation as operators get ultimatum. More Nigerians losing faith in Tinubu government, public institutions, poll reveals. That's according to the Guardian this morning. All right. Then the star headline says, oil theft eases despite $25.7 billion losses in 23 years as operators turn to barges. Those details await you on page 6 of the Guardian. As always, the Guardian this morning has very beautifully laid out infographics on its front page, so you can look up the details there and see what the infographics say, and then that will help you with some very vital insights into what the situation is regarding oil thefts and the easing of this phenomenon despite a 25.7 billion string of losses. All right, as we take it down a bit further now, Tinubu orders security agencies to crush bandits, separatists, others. Obi affirms 2027 presidential bid as Wike bets against his ambition. Catholic group advocates electoral reform before 2027. Police warn Ondo residents against 777 cult celebrations. We understand that security has been beefed up in Ogun State in light of this planned event. Senate awaits certificatory copy of Natasha's reinstatement order. That story has details on page 9 of the Guardian newspaper. All right. So you want to get a copy of it and find details for yourself. That takes us to the Nation. newspaper this morning, and we have just one headline immediately beneath the, well, two headlines actually, immediately beneath the name plates of the Nation newspaper. First one says, "I'm still in Labour Party," says Obi. Then why are you also in the ADC now? Well, no need to speculate. Just read up details on page 4 of today's issue of the Nation newspaper. Natasha, that's a kicker. I will resume tomorrow. All right. Then Star headline reads, "Mark Aregbesola take over in conflict with ADC constitution." Who is saying that? Well, let's see what the writer says. Wonsu Matara disagree on amendment of party rules. Firm's local substitution boosts trade balance. Sounds like some piece of good news right there for you. All right. Then what more do we have here? On the foot of the Nation newspaper today, ethnic nationalities back Wike's demand on release of NDDC forensic reports. All right. Those details are on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. All right. So we move things over now to the Vanguard newspaper, and then let's see what we've got here. The Star story, the Star headline, I should say, tells us ADC begins takeover of PDP structures in northern states. Quite a handful of riders with the headline. PDP calls defectors to ADC good riddance. I'm loyal to APC. Zulum dismisses defection rumor. YOB is still committed to LP. Source. Atiku El-Rufai, Obi's coalition is a fraud. APC scribe. FG's reforms, mere optics, not solutions. ADC. You failed as Interior Minister. Wike tackles Aregbesola. I'm still in LP. Obi. So everybody is picking their truth as it stands right now. Well, trust politicians to never fail in this regard. All right. Let's see some other headlines for you. I'm contesting for president, not VP. Obi. That's some very categorical statement there. NIN verification portal frustrates banks, telcos as downtime persists. Those are your headlines from the Vanguard newspaper today. Before we take a break on this segment of the program, let's look at the Punch newspaper quickly. Above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, it says recapitalization. 5 banks hit CBN targets ahead of deadline. What exactly is the deadline, and who are these 5 banks? Well, you've got to find details on page 35 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And then I just sent the nameplate of the Punch newspaper. 2027 coalition crisis brews as ADC chairman sets terms for alliance. 10 states borrow 417 billion naira despite higher allocations. All right, so what was the necessity for the borrowing? Well, I'm sure you'll find details on page 31 of the Punch newspaper today. However, there is a rider to the headline. It says Rivers, Taraba top debt surge as 10 states account for 34% of subnational domestic debts. That's quite humongous. Nigeria's unity under attack from terrorists, separatists. Tinubu, apparently that's the premise upon which he has now ordered the armed forces to tackle bandits, terrorists, and even separatist groups. He says, look, there's no need treating them with kid gloves any longer, given that these are not just mere disturbances, but in his words, they are existential threats to the unity and peaceful coexistence of this entity called Nigeria. Well, this is where we'll take a break at this point. When we return, we'll look at a few more papers for you, and then the rest of the program will unfold. Please stay with us. right, the second part of the newspaper review this morning, and now I will commence with the This Day newspaper, right? This Day newspaper has quite a number of headlines, but we will begin with the star headline. The kicker says 2027 presidency in panic mode, ADC coalition alleges. What do the writers tell us? Insists president not governing Nigeria. Obi declares he won't buy 150 billion naira jet when people are dying. Zulum dismisses defection rumor, affirms loyalty to APC. Ex-police minister ordered PDP members move to ADC in large number. LP collapses structure into coalition. South-South groups trade tackles over support for ADC. So it will appear the ADC is now becoming more like the pivots, politically speaking, because up until this point, as far as the 2027 politicking and drama are concerned, this is the first time the conversation has hit these points. Well, let's just call it all-time high. Okay, but let's move things up a notch higher now. All right, Tinubu to military. We mustn't mortgage Nigeria's future to division and difference. All right, then what's more? Two writers with that headline there. First one here says, describes country's security challenges as existential, gives military marching order to confront defeat those undermining Nigeria, reiterates commitment to welfare of armed forces, operational capacity. All right. And then when you bring it up a little higher here, it says, Dantata, that's a kicker. The Northern Governors Forum delegation, Atiku, Zulum, others pay condolence visits to family in Kano. Those details await you on page 8 of This Day newspaper. All right. Then above that, at the very top of the paper this morning, World Bank, again another kicker, Nigeria stuck in lower middle income economy below Libya, Gabon. Well, that's not a nice place to be, but the question is, how much more work is the government putting in to move things at least from point A to point B in terms of the country's economic rating? Because right now the World Bank says in terms of middle income, world index, Nigeria is right behind Libya and Gabon. Apparently, that doesn't look good, right? We'll bring it down a little now. It says Senate awaits certified judgment copy before action on Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension. All right, that's also on the front page of This Day newspaper. All right, so that's what we'll leave it with This Day newspaper this morning. But then be sure to read up details of those headlines for yourself. We now move to Daily Trust, where not so many headlines, but again, it's quite a Monday morning copy of the paper. All right, let's look at the star headline first. It says, Obi insists on 2027 contest as Atiku hints at running. All right, above that headline, we have three more. Top left corner, FG puts presidential jet on sale in Switzerland. Leaked documents, how FCCA worker was queried, arrested, detained. Millions of Nigerians in multi-dimensional poverty, that's credited to the Nigeria Labour Congress. 39 killed in Kano, Lagos, Ogun road crashes. At the bottom left, it says Boko Haram kills 9, injures 4 in Borno. FG finds multi-choice 766.2 million naira for violating Data Protection Act. Nigeria cruised to 3-0 over Tunisia at WAFCON. All right, those are the quick headlines here on the Daily Trust newspaper today. We move things now to Standard Times. With Standard Times, we begin from the very top of it, the Standard Times newspaper now, top left corner of it. It reads, freedom to operate, access to capital driving Seplat Energy success. That's Roger Brown What's more, here it says, Natasha, we are yet to receive certified true copy of judgment that is credited to the Nigerian Senate. Afrexim Bank completes upsizing of reserve-based lending facility for Ondo to $375 million. ADC, no discussions yet on 2027 presidential candidates. Peter Obi. Don't leave NDDC audit reports to gather dust. Prosecute those hiding it. Serap tells Tinubu. All right. What's more here? It says Wike slams opposition's coalition movement as selfish ambition. Governor Oti secures the release of 3 men on death row after 26 years in prison. Warif runs up fight against GBV in Akwa Ibom. Of course, there's no better time to rally around the efforts to end gender-based violence than now. And then lastly, on the foot of the Standard Times this morning, reimagining Nigeria's urban resilience, wildfire resistance must be the cornerstone of commercial construction. All right, you do yourself a favor, grab a copy of Standard Times today, and then read up details for yourself. All right, that takes us to the next one here, the Daily Monitor newspaper, and we'll start from the very top of it. It says NIMET predicts 3-day rain thunderstorms starting from today. Okay, and then COAS, that's the Chief of Army Staff, seeks support of Nigerians in fights against insecurity. FG launches visa amnesty for foreigners. NDPC fines multi-choice 766 million naira for data privacy violations. That's the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. They're fining multi-choice, that's a broadcast content aggregator, excess of 760 million naira for data privacy violations. Senate yet to receive CTC on Akpoti Duagan's court judgment. That's credited to Senator Adaramodu, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Senate. And then leads us to the star headline this morning. Our contest for president in 2027, not in talks to be Atiku's VP, OB. The writer says, I don't need more than 4 years to provide good governance. Of course. Tinubu to Nigerian army, confront and defeat those who seek to undermine our nation. And the writer says, Nigeria facing existential threats that require a united, firm, uncompromising response. The president there talking to the Nigerian armed forces. All right, well, let's take another quick break at this point, everyone. We're looking at the papers for you. When we return, we have a few more papers and, of course, headlines to bring your way. After that, the rest of the morning will continue. Let's continue from where we left off a while ago, but this time we begin with the National Star newspaper. All right, just 3 headlines below the nameplate of the National Star newspaper this morning. 2027 opposition coalition is real. Recalibrate your political strategy, Tinubu told. Why we cannot implement anti-grazing law in Benue, Governor Alia, what are the peculiarities in this regard? Well, find details from page 8 of the National Star, and also that will guide you through the perspective of the state's governor, Hyacinth Alia. Federal government puts Obasanjo's presidential jets for sale. What's more, the Star headline says coalition agenda driven by selfish ambitions. Wiki. Three writers accompanying that headline accuses Atiku, Obi, Mark, Amechi, Arigweshola, others of lacking focus. What's more, promises more infrastructure development in the Federal Capital Territory. Wiki's appointment shows Tinubu is a visionary leader, says Venerable Idume. Again, federal government orders military to crush terrorists, bandits. So apparently it's not the first time this order will be issued to the Nigerian military. One with a kicker here, Senate, I'll resume on Tuesday, Senator Akmoti Udwaga. Federal government hits multi-choice with 766 million naira fine over data breach privacy violations. WAFCON, Super Falcons saw past Tunisia 3-0. Quite a feat for those ladies there. All right, we congratulate them while we move on to the next paper, which is the first newspaper. Then we start with the headline that says Black Weekend, 29 killed, many injured in Zaria, Kano, Lagos road crashes. Quite a sad development there. NDLEA bust family drug ring, seizes cocaine in lipsticks. I mean, there's just no extreme. These drug dealers and peddlers won't go to conceal their illicit trade. Ijode declared in Houston as diaspora honors Jonathan Diri Fubara, others. Court fear spreads. Ogun police warn ahead of 777 day. That's happening somewhere in Ogun State. Arsenal sign Zubimendi reach full agreement with Jokeres. All right, those are all stories headlines from the first news today. The Star headline says, bare knuckle politics. Peter Obi lacks credibility to lead Nigeria. That statement is accredited to Nyesom Wike, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Tinubu Cho Army at 162nd anniversary. Crush terrorists without mercy. 2027 election will be APC versus Nigerians, says ADC chieftain. Don Jazzy, I can't stick to one woman, all right? Well, that's somebody there speaking organically, I suppose. All right, but let's leave it there with the first newspaper, where we hope you get details from when you pick up a copy of it. And then we'll move on to Daily Times newspaper today, which is a penultimate paper, by the way. All right. Adjacent or just above the nameplates, federal government offers relief for foreigners with expired visas. And then the Star headline, 83% Nigerians have no trust in Tinubu's government. That's according to API reports. That's supposed to be a poll, so you can look it up for context and perspective on page 9 of the Daily Times today. All right. Recover local governments hijacked by governors, group charges Nigerians. Tinubu tasks military on response to insecurity. Constitution review must address injustices to Southeast, Senator Ume. You can't enforce perceived order, Senator tells Akmoti Udwaga. You can't enforce perceived order. All right, so hopefully things go smoothly tomorrow without any sort of hiccups or some friction, because Senator Natasha Akmoti Udwaga says she will resume tomorrow, Tuesday. Resume means getting back to legislative duties, but the Senate says, yes, we understand there has been a judgment in this regard. However, we're yet to receive a certified true copy, what is commonly called CTC, of that judgment. The spokesperson of the Senate, Senator Adaramodu, said yesterday that until the CTC is received by the Senate, it will refrain itself from taking any action as far as this matter is concerned. So it does seem to be, carrying out some sort of prejudice against the Nigerian court or the judiciary. But let's see how tomorrow pans out. It's just about 24 hours away from here. All right. Lastly, from the Daily Times this morning. It says Wike to coalition. No comeback to desperate power grabbers. All right, those details are on page 7 of the Daily Times. Well, read up the Daily Times today and find all of those details for yourself across the headlines that we brought your way. But let's look at our very last paper this morning, the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. Above the name masts here, it reads top left corner, 2 years after Oni, Minister Idris Omotosho orders Hail News Direct founder at Remembrance book launch. It says the BMA's work for Nigeria's prosperity won't be forgotten. That's credited to the Oni of Ife. Senate stalls action on Senator Natasha's recall awaits certified true copy. 2027 Coalition of Hunger Not Rescue. Wike blast Obi Atiku Aribishola, other ADC leaders. The writer says accuses coalition leaders of selfish politics, failed leadership legacies. Says Peter Obi's time has passed. Labour Party coalition with ADC not anti-party Obi. And then further down it says NDPC finds multi-choice 762.2 million naira over illegal cross-border data transfer. All right, that headline appears to be replicated across national dailies this morning. NDDC holds 25th anniversary Thanksgiving as Governor Ayedatiwa lauds achievements. NDLEA uncovers cocaine in lipstick, seizes $17.7 million fake travelers checks. All right, that's quite a lot to be confiscated by the authorities. But again, it shows that crime can be so if you like, technical in its own very nature. I mean, never have we heard or seen or read about how that cocaine had been concealed in lipsticks, right? But here is in front of us in 2025. So pick up copies of these papers this morning, read up details for yourselves, and then be able to stay ahead of the news, avoid fake news and misinformation as well. Just to also establish that Global Television has no form of editorial influence or makes any contribution to all of these headlines and their details that will bring you over here when we guide you through the day's news and help you to stay counter fake news and misinformation. All right, the rest of the program continues shortly. Please do stay with us. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, like I mentioned at the top of the program this morning, the very heart of our discussion this morning is to look at the political events that have been unfolding in this country for maybe a couple of days in particular, especially if you look at it from what happened last week, the coalition coming together to say, look, there's no better time to form some sort of alliance, politically speaking, against the APC government led by President Bola Tinubu to unseat him in 2027. As a matter of fact, as it stands today, it will appear that it is the APC versus the ADC already, even though within the fold of the coalition itself, you're still having so much of back and forth, not so much of clarity in terms of leadership structure and other very fundamental elements like who becomes ultimately, all else equal, the flag bearer of the coalition. There are still those, we understand, who are saying within the coalition that, look, we are better off registering a new party rather than using the ADC as a special purpose vehicle. But as it stands today, it will appear the ADC for many of those notable politicians within this coalition has come to stay. Well, we're going to talk about all that, and ultimately we would also nosedive this conversation into the sub-national level, where Edo State in particular will be in focus as we tail out. Incidentally, my guest this morning is somebody whose background cuts across the civil society space. As a politician, as a matter of fact, he has been a local government chairman in Edo State, in particular Ovia Southwest local government. He has had his own fair share of playing the opposition, especially following the last election in Edo State that produced Governor Senator Monday Okpebolo. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party, so that gives you an insight into his brand of opposition. But again, the PDP has a huge question mark over his head now, given the coalition element that is quite becoming forceful in the narrative of Nigerian politics. Comrade Honorable Destiny in Abulele, I'd like to call him this morning in the program. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Same here, my brother. Nice to see you again.
Right, second time around, they say. So let's begin with, of course, you are not ignorant of one of the things that have been happening in this country. There's a coalition now. You are also a living witness to the coalition that produced the APC about a decade ago. Do you quite frankly think this is history repeating itself?
Well, let me start this morning because in your intro, you said the election that produced Senator Modi Okpebolo. The election did not produce Senator Modi Okpebolo.
But it's governed by law.
It's before the law. So we are hoping and then we are waiting for the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Till then.
Until then, he's the governor.
So until then,
he's the governor.
He's the next governor, next elected
well,
governor. With utmost humility.
He's been governing Edo State now for the 8th month.
It does not represent the wish and aspiration of Edo.
I'm
happy you are from Edo.
We are going to expand on that as we make progress into this conversation.
For us, the issue beforehand, as of round the coalition.
Right.
Thank God, you and I, we have seen or saw the 4 walls of the university. I remember those days, if you find yourself to have a difficulty in a particular, course, you call your friend and you see that it's a little bit, brighter than you, to have some kind of, group reading.
Right.
That does not mean that you are weak, because when your peers try to explain, you get it, easier rather than seeing, your lecturer. So what they are having, or we are having, because I belong to this other side.
The other side being the coalition.
Because I'm not of the APC. So I belong to this other side. So
the other side is the coalition, let's be clear.
When I say I belong to this other side, yes, I'm not for the APC.
We need to put on record that you belong to the coalition.
No. I'm not yet a member of
But you're tilting in favor of the coalition.
Definitely, because every well-meaning Nigerian, I want to see this country, past this quagmire, politically, economically, socially, security-wise, and everything, will definitely, tinker or reason the way of the African Development Congress, the ADC. So,
right.
To put it very frank. So for us, we want a vehicle by way of movement that can put a stop to these dictatorial tendencies we have in this country. I was in a transit somewhere in Europe. I overheard some whites. They're discussing. The guy I was discussing should be of my age or close to. He said the father once, was one of the tidy affairs in one of these embassies during Abacha. You know what they use, describing us. That this present administration, in the person of the president, is trying to undo or to outsmart or to surpass Abacha. To me, it was a very sad commentary.
What is the context when you say undo or surpass Abacha?
If you look at what we're having, you know the I would like to say, applauding him for this present administration, the president of president. You see, he has exposed the deficiencies and the corruptness in every Nigerian. Judiciary, for instance, is no longer the law, with utmost humility. Perhaps you must have listened to, and I have listened to Dele Farotimi, and I had you saw the book that almost sparked some, reactions. That is the level we are in. You see, when the judiciary is having a question mark, there is a problem for the ordinary Nigerian, for the ordinary persons. What we have now is based on what you can exchange for justice. It is quite sad. I don't know if you have been following. Let me quickly. If you have been following the Edo State, election tribunal, for instance, you can see what they've been talking about. It's sad.
It's still a subject.
Yes, but you can see
trying to isolate this
from the lowest court to the appeal. Even from the appeal, the justices or the judges, even when they were coming out, I told someone, I said, these are guy men. Yeah, indeed. When they start, adumbrating, you see that indeed these were truly guy men. So they have desecrated the justice of temple. So there's a fundamental problem, and we must start to get it right.
Is that what this coalition will achieve?
Not only. It's across board. See, you've not been living in space. I know you too well. You've been in this country. I don't think you have any other passport of any other country apart from the Nigerian passport.
We're taking a quick break now, everyone. The rest of the program will return shortly. Sincere apologies for that glitch with our broadcast. There was occasioned by a technical challenge, which has now been resolved. We appreciate your understanding. So my guest a while ago was trying to expand on the issue of the rationale, or if you like, the motivation behind this coalition. Because a man like the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Indepth Wike, has said that your people, I mean those who are driving this coalition, are motivated by nothing other than selfish ambitions together. I mean, don't you think that's exactly what it is?
You see, I think I was trying to say something just now. You thought that maybe I was just speaking from the blue. You can see what just happened just now. Those are some of the indices of the failed states. South Africa of how many population? And Nigeria, what megawatts? Try and do your comparison. So that's to tell you, see, there are two things that is paramount in any sane government. Let me use the word sane government: security and welfare. As you speak very just now, you will agree with me that these two things, you know what that means. Do we have security? Do we have welfare?
So you're talking about power and security.
Is there power in this country? Is there security? Yes. Even in my very dear Edo State, for the last weekend, or this weekend, there has been a disturbing, I hope you are in tune with your people at home. There have been a disturbing occurrence almost every day, killing, every day. You know, I think it was here, or one of the sister stations, and I told them, although we'll go that later.
Right.
You see, the issue is this: the coalition is here to help us, remove this very photocopy government. You know, those days in school, the handout, it's not as potent as the main.
Maybe a textbook.
A textbook. So, this photocopy government, with utmost humility, you see what is happening now. Even in the seat of power, the primary school pupils, the children, the future of tomorrow, they are on strike. While the president is in, is it St. Lucia or something?
St. Lucia, right.
Because...
and then he intends to visit a
he
few other parts of the Caribbean.
And he was given scholarship. When even your seat of power, the children and the future of tomorrow, the children that will be there, that you will not pass to history, why you are no longer there, that will speak for us, why majority of us are gone. They are on strike for months. And you are doing Father Christmas elsewhere. Does that sound right? For me, I don't know. You see, I try to look at what is really our problem as a nation.
But the president, I mean, just for the benefit of our viewers, is not the minister of the FCT. Shouldn't we situate that in front of Mr. Indepth Wike?
Who appoints Wike? Wike is the present minister of FCT is not elected. He's appointed. The boss stops at the president's
So you're saying if he's not delivering on
his job,
then
although with utmost humility, this president, because of his where he's coming from, they say when a fraudster is a king, the kingdom becomes the rally point for fraudsters. With utmost humility.
But that's not to say, of course,
I'm not saying.
You can't call the president.
No, I'm not saying. What I'm trying.
Let's establish that.
No,
there could be some better examples, but let's not miss the perspective. We're saying that, for example, because we're still with the coalition.
Yes.
We have people like David Mark, who had been Senate President between 2007 and
2015. Military governor
before that.
Yes.
All right. He had been a minister, even in military government, in the same country, for example. You have Aregbesola, former governor, two-time governor, we should say, states, of Osun State, and after that, Minister of Interior. You have Peter Obi, two-time governor of Anambra State, a presidential candidate of the Labour Party. And then you have people like Gabriel Susom, who has also been two-time governor in Benue State, as a matter of fact, a senator as well. So you have people along those lines. Atiku, former vice president for 8 years as well, as they call him, serial contender. Former national chairman of the ruling APC, former governor of Edo State. They are Nigerians, even those outside of politics and partisanship who say that. If these men could not deliver in their roles at those different times, what is now the guarantee that they can make a difference for the better in the name of a coalition?
You see, I'm a student of history. My first degree in international studies and diplomacy. You see, when things are not working right the way it ought to be, in an attempt to get it right, those that are oppressed need those that are in the aim of affairs to get it right.
Even when they too had bungled opportunities.
Definitely, you need them. You will need them in one way or the other.
For whatever it's worth.
Yes, to get it right. So for us, this coalition is timely. For me, I'm not disturbed about the coalition. What I'm disturbed is the synergy, the coming togetherness, the sincerity within these key players in carrying the ordinary people along to achieve the desired results. That is my nightmare.
Is there sincerity in this coalition?
We can't say now. I think it's too early in the day to begin to say whether or not.
I think we can say, and I'll tell you why.
We cannot.
I'll tell you why. The ADC is already balkanized as it stands right now, because there's a faction of the ADC that says that what David Mark and his quote-unquote boys have done so far is
the faction led by my friend Kachiku. Yes, no, in 2022, if I'm not mistaken,
right.
he was suspended or expelled from the party. There is a correspondent to that effect. So for me, with utmost humility, is my friend. I think we've met one or twice or something like that. But you should just join and let, if perhaps, quote unquote, the leadership of the party, or maybe they are not, you should just let, the paramount thing is for us to get this men out.
So we should overlook those in the ADC, apart from Kachiku, who are now saying that what David Mark and his people have done so far is a hostile takeover of the ADC.
It wasn't a hostile takeover. When you are talking about those, permit me, disgruntled as a result of this coalition, they are very minute. Majority, they say, will always have their way. Minority will always, have their say. While majority will always have their way. So for me, it's a minority. My friend is a minority. It's a minority, and I know his fears.
What are his fears?
And when you are a superstar in your house, and you now see some other mighty superstars, you become jittery. You are not comfortable. You say, oh, they are about to. You understand? I know his fears, and I sympathize with him with utmost humility. So for us, and to the average Nigerian and Nigerians, ADC is the party to unseat this present dictatorial government.
There's a concern, and I just want to help us pivot a little. We say the ADC, you say the ADC is the party.
Yes.
The PDP, I've spoken with a certain PDP chieftain here on 2 occasions about this issue, and he has told me consistently that the PDP, the organic PDP, I don't know what that means within the context of your party, is not disposed or favorably disposed to a coalition. So how is it that you have one faction of the PDP saying, we love the coalition, we're going with the coalition. You have another faction saying otherwise. Is that not already a case of a house divided against itself?
There's equally the wicked factor.
And then the article factor.
Perhaps the fellow that you interview, I don't know whichever,
which of the factions
he belongs. See, let me quickly say this. Can he be more Roman Catholic than the Pope? Please answer me.
I've never been a Catholic.
I've been a Catholic. There's no way you can be more Roman Catholic than the Pope. If you see, a person of David Mark, for instance, he has been a PDP from the year 1998 to be very precise. So when we're talking about organic, I don't know and there are many like David Mark, for instance. So for me, I understand. For me, I don't know which of the fashions he is, talking from. But I understand. There are many PDP that say, okay, we are PDP. We work for ADC. There's already a precedent by your FCT minister. So for us, and for some of us, so they will belong to the PDP. Can't carry a member of PDP, but they will work for ADC.
Are they working for ADC, or they're using ADC to work for themselves?
It's not many. It's not everybody that will go to the ballot. It's not everybody that will be appointed if eventually they are able to unseat this government. It's not everybody. But to me, they are working for the party. It is when you are there in the ballot, you're working for yourself and working for your party. And in turn, working for the people. So for me, it's going to be a win-win-win for Nigerians. That is it. For me, I don't have any sleepless nights regarding. The only thing I have is that these key, drivers of this process should be sincere to themselves and to the Nigerians. That is just it. That is my only little worries, left, right, center.
Okay, let's talk about guarantees. I mean, this is not a financial transaction, but as is with the case in many things in life, there has to be a measure of certainty with every venture or initiative. What are the guarantees that this coalition will see the light of day? I'm going to create a context for the basis upon which I'm asking that question. Between 2013 and 2014, the Tinubu leadership was able to, if you like, come up with what you now call the amalgamation of several parties.
Yeah.
Exactly, giving birth to the All Progressives Congress. I've heard people from your coalition who say that, well, if Tinubu and his guys could pull it off a decade ago, who says you can't replicate that model today? But then times have changed. Political dynamics are not exactly the same thing. So talk to our viewers about guarantees.
You see, when you're talking about guarantee, I'm not a little bit comfortable because we are still at the embryo stage.
So nothing is certain?
Nothing is certain for now. But be rest assured that of a truth, with this crop of persons that are in saddle of betting this coalition, this amalgamation, be rest assured that to a certain percentage, Nigerians and average Nigerians will indeed, benefit from the security and the welfare, which is the primary concern of any sane government. For me. So we need to, let's disabuse our mind of whatever will be giving us some doubt. For now, let's come up with open mind. That is me for you. For instance,
when you say we, who are you speaking to directly?
Nigerians,
coalition members,
Nigerians, and the coalition, key drivers. You see, I said it in this platform some time ago. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is a very, very smart man, and to do that, you know what that means. You know what that means. So for us, that's why some of us are not, comfortable with the style of leadership and governance, because it's not different from that of, with utmost humility, the late, General Sani Abacha. It's his style of governance, the style of presiding.
General Sani Abacha
was in khaki. The only difference is that was in khaki and this is in Agbada. With utmost humility.
There was another difference. Under President Bola Tinubu was saying a handful of by-elections, was saying local government polls, for example. Abacha was there for 5 whole years, 1993 to 1998. Not a single election was conducted for apparent reasons. So,
no. You are missing it.
There's significant difference.
That is the style of military.
Which makes it different from democracy.
Definitely. If you look at what we have now, if you look at what we have, I use, for instance, in FCT, in the seat of power, the primary school children, they've been on strike. And you want to tell me that that is a democrat or a democracy? You can see what is happening in the judiciary, for instance, which is now becoming, that has been commercialized with almost humility. Is it the security? I think it was credited to Abacha that if a crime or a crisis exceeds 24 hours, you know that government has a hand in it. You've seen the killings. I think we are even the first war between Israel and Iran the other time put together. Certain killings numbers a day was not up to the one we recorded a day in Benue.
But the killings didn't start with the Tinubu government now, did it? No.
But it's worse off now
than it was under Buhari for 8 years.
You see the problem we are having in this country. We play politics with everything. There are two things you as a sane government, please underline, as a sane government, that you don't need to play politics with. At least I have been at the very lower tier. preside over people. Two things: the education and the security of the people. You don't need to play. You don't need to play politics with it. With utmost humility, you don't need to, because the education guarantees the future of which that nation will survive, and the security provide an environment for everybody to do his or her business. That's why my grandmother say, of blessed memory, he said, "Oh, man, permit me to speak in my very rich language." He said, "What that means, literally, there's nothing meaningful in an atmosphere of Franco. When there are crisis or there are war or disturbance, the pastor or imam cannot go to their place of worship. Our mothers cannot go to market to trade. So if you play politics with security, you're undoing yourself unknowingly. And over time, as a nation, we have been playing politics with security and our education. That is why I should speak very just now. No Nigerian, university or as a whole is tailored towards production and manufacturing. I don't know. Maybe I've been living in space. In space. Tell me, what do we have to show over time? It is what we inherited from the colonial master. Education to interpret their language, which is English, on their behalf, and administer the interior. So for me, I don't know. Has anything different since the exit of the colonial master in our educational, curriculum? It's not tailored towards production, manufacturing. You heard in the last pandemic, we were getting Senegal, blah 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 from vaccines left and right.
Yes,
on our own, we were unable to come up with something, and we said we are a nation.
But Nigeria was not the only country constrained in that regard at that time. Many other countries where America was essentially calling the shots. There may be a bit of Europe as well. So was it peculiar to Nigeria? I'm sure the answer is no.
At times, I'm not comfortable when we try to juxtapose or trying to look at it from that perspective.
But even some advanced, developed countries were constrained.
In terms of population, so we are not maximizing our population. That is the problem we have. China, for instance, they know what they have. And they are looking at it in terms of population and maximize. See, we must go to the drawing board from the very kindergarten to begin to tailor our education towards production and manufacturing. I've seen some videos in the social media where you see the Chinese children, they are tailoring them towards manufacturing and production. But in Nigeria, they are tailoring our children towards kabashing, prayer warriors, fasting ministers, and so to speak, without permit me. So it is sad. We must look at it.
I don't know. I have a very strong nudging to talk to you a bit further about the coalition. People like Amechi, Amechi, well, Chibike Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, had
a former minister.
Yes, former minister as well. Had been a
speaker.
Yes, a man I'm very sure you are also comfortable with as a minister when he headed the transportation ministry, and especially when we're talking about the loans that were taken from the Chinese authorities to fund our railway projects here. But
to Maradi.
Yes, well, I'm sure all of that won't matter now because we're talking coalition. Again, that's how politics works, I'm sure. But more importantly, he was the chairman of the committee that recommended that a new party should be registered as against this coalition. So that's already suggestive of the reality that there are elements in this coalition who are not comfortable with the ADC idea. So how are you going to reconcile those people?
You see, when you see, he said, see, I'm a very different person. I speak truth to power. Let me recall something. I was in primary 5. I remember those days. One of our school teacher, a lady, teaching us words and meaning.
Right.
So she used intruder. He said, for instance, if a man decides to marry a second wife, that the second wife is an intruder. And my mother happens to be a second wife. And when I got home, and I asked my father, I said, Daddy, why did you marry my mother as a second wife? She's an intruder. My dad was a little bit shocked. He called me and my elder brother and two of my half sisters. And he began to question me. So For us, I speak truth to power. I ask you, I tell you, it's not as if some of us, yes. That's why I used the word. I said this present administration is a photocopy. You know what photocopy? If you decide to photocopy a textbook, it would have been as a textbook. Okay. This president is a photocopy of Buhari. With utmost humility. I will leave it at that of Amechi. You see, at times you need your enemy to achieve, to get the desired result. Oh yes. You see, at times your comfort limits your ability to move forward. I don't know if you are getting. That's why you see an average man, they are more industrious. They leave their comfort zone. I read somewhere jokingly that if you travel to any place and there is no Igbo man, you know that place is not productive. And it is the gospel truth. And they are the most chastised, ethnic group in this country. I don't want to, let's leave it at that. So that of Amechi, at times, you need your enemy to achieve the desired result.
Incidentally, there's something you call the spread, national spread in politics.
Yes.
Especially as it has to do with electioneering.
Definitely.
And then the ballot proper. All right, because that's one of the very fundamental factors that determine outcome of elections. How does your coalition intend to push spread, especially in a place like the Southeast, where you already have established political parties with their governors being the de facto leaders of those parties?
Oh, yeah, let me set the record straight.
Please, by all means.
I am not a member of the coalition.
Well,
neither am I the spokesperson.
Yes.
With utmost humility.
But
I am a member of those that want to put this country in a path of recovery.
And you want the coalition to succeed?
Definitely.
Good.
Because I believe that is the most viable alternative for now. So for me, I'm home and dry.
So why don't you think the PDP is the most viable alternative?
You know why? Let me quickly say something. My grandmother of blessed memory, you know why I'm always using my grandmother? When I lost my father in secondary school, then become of age, I stayed with my grandmother for about 9 years. From there, I went to the university. So she would always say then, she said, if a man in a community says that it is only him that has a sickness, a cure to a certain sickness, you know that is the cause of the sickness.
So he wants to monopolize the cure.
You see, Wike has virused PDP. And to some extent, to some of us that is looking at it from the outside, we believe that PDP is beyond retention.
So why do we place that?
Even when I contested in the House of Assembly, in the course of trying to get the legitimate, candidate in Edo State, we went to the Supreme Court. There was the wicked fashion. There was the former governor, Godwin Obaseki faction, of which we belong to the Obaseki faction. So we went to the Supreme Court. So we dissipate our energy, our resources, before facing, quote unquote, the well-known opposition, or the enemy, or enemies. I don't know if you... So a house divided against itself, it is difficult to stand.
So you pin that blame on Wike?
Yes! It's up to 90% of what befell or is befalling PDP is on. I put it on.
Wike is not from Edo.
Do you know? No, now it's a topic for another. Do you know the striking thing? UK used to be my kind of person. I look to it because they know how to use power for the right results. I remember, when I was in civil society, I was almost frequenting, visiting, Port Harcourt. He's doing this, he's doing that. But the situation where you now use your office to bully, to oppress, for me, I have a question, a kind of question mark.
But this same Wike was very instrumental in 2020 to the success of Obaseki. I mean, in his bids to return to Osadebe Avenue Government House for second term.
No doubt about that. No, I use the word, please, underline. I said, when you begin to use your power.
Well, there was a switch at some point.
To oppress,
right,
to intimidate, like what is happening in FCT, for instance. The issue has to do with the land grabbing, allegedly, left, right, center, to the sun, and marking houses or establishment, left, right, center. There are ways, there are decent ways of doing things. That is why for me, I'm not always, fervent about the destination. There is, you know fully well that a journey, we have to take me to that destination. It is the process, not the end result. So for the likes of Wike and the president, any which way, let me use in the Niger Delta, any which way, as far as the end result is for their benefit.
I'm not surprised that you're pinning this much blame on Wike. I mean, I've spoken to people who belong to...
Again, you talked about the spread.
The spread, yes.
I think for now, if you look at it to be very sincere, I think the key ethnic groups, they are adequately and sufficiently represented in ADC. You have Obi there, you have Atiku there, you have Aregbe Shola, and many. You have Oyego in my state, for instance.
Aregbe Shola has been called a political failure, for example. How much of political value does he bring then?
How do you define failure?
They rated him by his 8 years in Osun State as a governor. Or as he used to call it, the state of Osun.
A man that has been a governor, will you call that a failure? I don't know how you rate. I don't know how you define failure. A man that has been the number one, job of a state, and you are saying the man is a failure. I beg to differ.
But how well did he do that job? It's probably the most
that is another question for another day. That you call him a failure, for me, I beg to differ. A man that could be a minister, and before he has worked with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos State as a commissioner. How do you define failure?
So won't you say such a man has betrayed his benefactor, for example?
I don't know how you define,
because he worked against the APC, we understand, in Osun State in the last election.
You see, the problem is this: we have over time abused this betrayal.
So help us put it in context.
You see, I try to situate it. When it comes to politics, if, for instance, today you and I, we align in a particular, project or policies, and tomorrow we fall apart, people will be seen as, okay, this guy has suddenly become, a betrayer. Even at times, some person refers to me as exactly as a betrayer.
Because you used to be in the APC.
I used to be in the APC.
And then you moved like the others.
Yeah, as we speak very just now, my first cousin, for instance, of which the mother and my father, same father, same mother, and the mother is my father's immediate younger sister, is the deputy governor. The one that orchestrated my removal from the house. So for me, when you say betrayal, I'm a little bit taken aback. When you look at, at times we look at what is in the open. We cannot, that before, for instance, you called me here, because before now, it's not as if we just got to know in Abuja. There have been an history. Many of us, we don't know the history between Aregbe Shola and Tinubu. Perhaps he must have done SYZ in the secret. That now, come to him, okay, come and be my commissioner. Or I will assist you to become the governor. You see, there are certain things. Like, now I'm using my case as a case study. Yeah, somebody is okay, assisted me to become, my brother. That's just on the surface. I have done quite novel and noble for the fellow. Unknown to the outside world. But very well. Very well. So for me, at times, people say, Uyi is a betrayer. On my own, I think I upon myself to look at why. I try to look at the history. Okay, now they are here, and this is what the people are saying. What happened to between this distance? That's why I'm not always fervent about the destination. I look at the process, the journey,
and the pattern
that takes to that destination.
All right,
that is made for you.
We need to take a break at this point. There's a lot more I want to ask you about this coalition and the personalities that make up the coalition itself. We're taking a break, everyone. When we return, we'll talk about the factor of Atiku Abubakar, a man we understand is at the very heart. Maybe some people will say is the front and center of this coalition. All of that coming shortly. Stay with us. is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, let's wrap it up quickly so we can move on to talk about some national issues. Atiku Abubakar is a man who is not a stranger to the political arena. I mean, he has been here quite a number of times. When I say he has been here, I'm saying he has contested quite a number of times. But there are those who now say that, look, there's the possibility what Atiku Abubakar wants this time is not to become the president. Is to ensure that he makes his utmost contribution to ensuring President Bola Tinubu doesn't return to Aso Rock in 2027. Others say, well, as has always been the case, he wants to leverage these coalition as a special purpose vehicle to becoming the president, all else equal, even though there's also the argument of the North-South dichotomy of the 8-year rotational presidency and what have you. What are your thoughts in this regard?
Let me try to answer the issue raised. You see, with utmost humility, Atiku is not the, you use the word, the front, the middle, I don't know.
The front and center.
And the front and center. You
right.
see, he's not. He's only
no, I just said some persons have described him as such.
He's only contributing. You see, there is this dilemma. I remember this, the chicken and the egg, which comes first.
Right.
There's this history dilemma, and I remember in one of my courses then. You see, it's another topic for another day. You see, the issue, you know, Atiku has been there. Permit me, he's a true Democrat, to be very sincere.
Is he?
He's a true Democrat. Let us not, he's from the north, and from the south. I've only met him once, by chance. So, what I am saying is this. If you look at what is before us, you remember, let me try to take you back, prior to this, to this republic. Atiku once contested with MKO Abiola.
In 1993.
Definitely. Even when the issue of the 1998, 1999, that we are here today,
right,
it was the most prominent because of I don't know how to put it, his humane nature and his democrat nature. He allowed the process. By way of bringing in OBJ, Obasanjo, on the president, and eventually he became, and he agreed to be the vice president. Even when, at the time, in the politics in the center, when some governor, he was in control on some governors, and he told them that, look, he came with this man, and he will allow this man to finish his constitutional requirement years, term of office. Perhaps we would have been saying all we are saying now. For me, it's not that desperate to quote and unquote. You might be surprised with all these. You might be surprised tomorrow. You just say, okay, let me be at the background. Why? Let me see how you float this thing. So for me, till then, that's why I use the word the chicken and the egg dilemma. That's why I said it's a topic for another day. For me, just let the system flow. I wouldn't want us to cry more than the bereaved. So for me, Atiku is a sincere man. He's a Democrat. In all of this, he's a Democrat.
I'm shocked you would say that. Atiku has left the PDP more than once. Atiku in 2015, I mean, he's on record, said the PDP is dead. And then by 2019, returns to that party to clinch the ticket. He repeats that same feat in 2023. Are those attributes of a Democrat?
Let me quickly say this. There have been some persons that have likened, PDP ticket to be likened to a Zimbabwe dollar in this country.
So Atiku falls in that category?
No, I am not saying he falls in that category. Which one is more damning?
We don't have a scale to determine that.
But
how damning is Atiku's statement about the PDP?
If I decide to, it's okay, I'm with Uyi today, and I discover that there are certain things. Okay, let me go back to the man behind the camera. There are certain things perhaps that wasn't very, palatable that make me to shift my, will I call it allegiance?
Right.
And maybe in the course of me, interacting and us, balling together, I discovered that Uyi is more. There's a saying again in my very rich Benin language, according to my grandmother. Until a woman's married two husbands, you will know the one that is more suitable for her.
But Atiku seems to have married more than two husbands, to use the words.
For me,
right.
I was raised at two, for the purpose of understanding.
And then remove the other women. Okay, that's on a lighter note. But let's wrap it up now so we can narrow down to sub-national issues. All right. It will appear the die is cast now. This coalition, whether it's here to stay or not, is already on the move. But how much work does it need to do? Because you have said here before today that President Bola Tinubu is not a joke when it comes to politics in this country. So that already suggests that the coalition has to be thinking on its feet. So talk to us about how much work this coalition would need to do.
They need a lot of work. Let me say this. My kind of person, when I'm approaching a task, I put it even when I know that, or maybe when I'm approaching you now, we want to embark on a physical combat. I know I can just I think someone told me jokingly.
Well, we'll take another break at this point. We'll return shortly, everyone. Again, we apologize for that glitch with our transmission. As always, we appreciate your understanding. So my guest was talking a while ago about how much work this coalition will have to do to unseat all else equal President Tinubu in 2027.
Oh, yeah, you can see for a time or a period of how many hours?
Just say about an hour.
How many times have we experienced the glitch?
So again, the coalition wants to correct this.
So definitely, you see, even in the course of Jan, you know what happened
with the CBT.
Yes, that's a topic for another day. You see, for me, if I'm faced with a task, I don't see that task that with a wave of hand that the task is a lightweight. No, I see the task as a heavyweight. That will prepare me to have to go train more, go rehearse more, and face it head on. So when I'm done, people will say, yeah, this is excellent work. That's the way. And that's the way I will, beg, and appeal to those in the driver's seat of ADC to seek Tinubu as a very heavyweight.
So they should not underrate the president and the APC.
Never. Even, you see, they themselves, they know, they are aware. I'm happy El-Rufai is there. Both of them.
What's spectacular about him?
He was Tinubu. Proud to Tinubu emergence in 2023. So both of them know what they know.
Both of them know
what they know. So for me, they are aware, because let me take you back. You know, before his emergence to become the president of this country, you knew what transpired in the presidency in Aso Rock.
I'm not aware of that.
Like the printing of the naira. It wasn't done because they were more innovative to come up with the printing. It was a ploy, deployed to undermine, to frustrate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can take that to the bank. I'm telling you for free, because you say you're not aware. And there are so many,
and he surmounted that challenge.
And he surmounted the challenge. That's the point. That's exactly what I'm driving at. Even when there was a gang up with the likes of, Amechi and the former AG, what's his name, Malami, the president boys trying to, have a barrier to frustrate him from emerging from the party primaries. Equally, overpower. And today he's there. So for me, why he was not in power, quote, as in being the president, and now that he is the president, your guess is as good as mine.
All right. I'm sure, given the point at which you are leaving it right now, there's so much.
So they know, they are aware.
Right. I hope they put their best foot forward in this regard. We're going to take another quick break right now. When we return, things will cascade to the sub-national level to look at exactly what is happening in Edo State, South Nigeria, under the government of Senator Monday Okpebholo. We appreciate you, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's switch gears at this point and go to Edo State, where so much has been heard regarding the government of Senator Monday Okpebholo, a man who was in office as the chief executive of the state on the 12th of November last year. His 8th month in office has just kicked in, and we need to quickly do an evaluation, or if you like, an assessment of what that government has been up to the entire time. Where did the governor pick up the state economically and across other sectors, and where exactly is the state at this point in time? So I'm going to turn to you again, Destiny, and talk about, of course, I'll be naive to expect you to be very dispassionate at this point, but for whatever it's worth, I will shoot my shot, as they say. You are a member of the opposition, so I don't expect you to come here, sing praise the governor, and give him a pat on the back. But I have spoken to people on the ground, not just on television, who say that, look, the governor may not have brought his best or his A game to the table, but he has been able to record some feats in certain areas. So talk to us about what the development is like in your own assessments.
You see, Uyi, it is difficult for a man that have a saw in his leg to say, okay, let me apply the Nigerian way or the African way in treating by applying hot water. You won't get the best result. You see, you say you have, interviewed, you have interfaced. It would be more appropriate that you visit the scene to have a first-hand information. I'm a student of history. I lived in Edo State. I lived in my village. I was in my village about 3 days or 4 days ago. You see, when this, razzmatazz that people hear in Abuja, at times I'm taken aback. I told you something ago. I think I said it in this platform the last time I came, when you talked about the issue of the fight against cultism. You see, the path. I love using it. I said I love using it. You see, we shouldn't be fervent about the destination. Knowing fully well there is a process. There's a journey will take you to that destination. That's, I said when he started fighting well-known opposition with his fight against cultism. As I speak, that how will I put it? That policy or his fight against cultism is a complete failure. Just yesterday here, About 2 persons were killed in Edo State. Saturday, same thing. Friday, same thing. Thursday, about 5 days, counting. As in, there's no 3 days in between. You can put a call again to substantiate what I am telling you. I'm a player in it. So when they, I don't know where they are getting, what they are feeding you with. But for me, with utmost humility, it's not because I am an opposition. You know me very well. I'm a student of history and I'm from the civil society. I will tell you the way they are because it's my state. I don't have any other passport. I only have the Nigerian passport and it's here with me. So for me, I want everything to be well. I told you that about 3 days ago. I went to the market. What I saw, my brother, I almost shed tears. When I got home, I started respecting my wife. And indeed, she's trying. But she was under the weather. I said, okay, let me just, I went there. She said, okay. When I got home, I said, oh, she's trying. I started respecting her. Yeah, since he came to, office and all of that. Some persons, they have nicknamed him as a nest of king.
What does that mean?
When a man, a woman is alive, decide to have a nest of king. I said, and you have some wealth, left behind, some resources left behind. The nest of king will lavish it as if there's no tomorrow. Will squander it as if there's no tomorrow. Because he did not suffer or labor for it. Godwin Obaseki left some whooping amount in the coffers of the district.
I have read some people in your team say 50 billion, which the APC has debunked.
I think it should be more than that. They are sitting in a super deck, in the IGRO, in the state this thing. Then there are some foreign currencies in two accounts.
Accessible to this government?
Definitely. In 2 accounts. Foreign currency in 2 accounts. And there are other billions in some other parastatal ministry. And here we are. He has applied to borrow 100 billion. I tell you, all he is doing is to buy cars, liabilities. I just got to know about...
You're talking about the Edo State deal with the First Bank with regards to
definitely.
infrastructure development.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But that's not categorically borrowing now.
Because they are borrowing for contractors.
It's a guarantee.
They are borrowing for contractors.
It's a guarantee that the government is giving on behalf of the contractors to execute the project through the bank.
Let us not go there. You see, the point is this. You can go and do further. I won't want to go into further analysis or interrogation. I don't know if you are aware that since the inception, all the government is doing is to buy liabilities.
For example,
they are buying Hilosys, Prado, LX 600. Do you know how much one LX ordinary without bulletproof? In the last 2 weeks, he has procured nothing less than 18 LX 600. One bulletproof and ordinary to a particular person. One bulletproof and ordinary to a particular person. Shared LX 600 as if it's a Corolla, regular Corolla they use for cab. That's the way. That's my brother. You can do further investigation, interrogation of what I'm telling you. Just last Saturday, there was a common entrance, for primary school, like living primary school, of which my son, participated. In the process, it was a show of shame. And there was a preparation. There was organization. It's sad that they have to now be moving in when it was raining heavily. They went to their school, a mark for the exam. They discovered that there was no seats. So they have to move them from one school to another location when it was raining heavily. And in the process, we learned that a particular people lost their life. So what are we saying? For me, when they are talking that, well, I don't know, maybe the flyover. But I tell you, yeah, the aesthetics and the beauty, whatever. You are an Edo person. In terms of road networks in West Africa, we are number one. We are top notch. Edo, the city, Benin City. Edo, we are top notch. You can't take that away from us. So for us, flyover should be after you must have, make all this, road network, accessible and motorable before you not be thinking of, coming up with flyover. That's because the former FCT was bragging with, 300 flyover in Port Harcourt. You want to see how you will be able to. For me, I don't join the bandwagon.
So you think that's misplaced?
It's a political project and it's a hallelujah project. They are what we call the hallelujah project.
So this is one of them.
It's one of them. And what permit me, it's another conduit pipe, what some of them will refer to as elephant projects. It's in court. It needs some finances.
This is a governor who has not even done a year in office. By these assessments, are you not using a sledgehammer to kill an ant?
I'm responding to the razzmatazz, to the modern life government that they are feeding you with. I don't know if you feel. So that is, I'm only responding that what they are telling you are not on ground. They are only there in the Nollywood.
But what do we tell people? What do we tell people who say, hold on a second, Obaseki was in office for, between 2016 and 2024. That's an entire 8-year period.
8 years, yeah.
Yet there was continuous flooding on the road that leads to the government house, right to the driveway into the government house. So is that not another bad example of leadership in Edo State?
You see, the point is this. You see the problem we are having. I haven't said that Obaseki is he was or he's a messiah. Don't misconstrue me. The point I'm driving is this. But again, you cannot take it away from Obaseki that indeed, in terms of governance, structure, to some extent, to a certain reasonable percentage, he did perfectly. For me, Obaseki decided to say, okay, this is the area I'm tackling. And he went head on in tackling it. There are so many infrastructure, for instance. Turning the system paperless, e-governance and what have you. Top notch in the country.
To the abandonment of road infrastructure.
To some extent, he tried to do road networks, internal networks. I'm not his spokesperson.
But you were a beneficiary of that government.
When is the beneficiary? I don't know. I'm lost at this point. Because I never worked with him directly.
But it was under that government you became a local government.
Definitely, I was a local government, and I did.
And we know as of today, there is no local government election that a sitting governor does not influence one way or another. So those who emerge as the flag bearers and eventually the chairman are direct or indirect beneficiaries of the governor.
All I know, in my own case, we went to the field.
With the support of the governor.
Yes.
And some people would even say the deputy governor in particular, who, of course, again, has moved back to the APC, talking about Right Honorable Phyllis Shaibu.
That what?
That, well, the former deputy governor and the former governor Obaseki were your benefactors as far as that election was concerned. And as such, you owe it as a part of loyalty and allegiance to.
Let me ask you. You were in Edo State when a local government election was ongoing, and they announced results.
I'm probably not so sure.
I wouldn't want to mention any. You were. I remember this very vividly. I was in the civil society then, unlike us.
So you are saying yours was more transparent?
But yes, there was. I won't say more transparent. I think that's the right word. I'm not saying that it was perfect or it was fantastic, but there was a complete departure from the old order. So that was my point. Obaseki, he came, he did his best, but I was expecting, even when in his handover note he advised that all they need to do now is to start deseating the gutters, the drainages. So for me, I am not saying that, but there is much to be done with this INEC selected governor in Edo State, because it does not represent or reflect the wish and aspiration of the Edo people.
Well, let's talk about how opposition is going in Edo State right now. Because even though, I mean, you now look like a man with one leg in the PDP and the other leg in the ADC. But let's talk about...
I haven't said so.
No, I mean, I said
I'm still a card-carrying member of PDP.
Yes, of course. They're working in the interest of the coalition.
For me, I have not started working for ADC. Just the point I'm saying is this: is that for everywhere, even including you, for everywhere in Nigeria that want us to leave this conundrum, this economic conundrum, political conundrum, security, bastardization and commercialization of our judiciary. The vehicle to hop in is ADC.
Okay.
To take us from this.
Just before that vehicle arrives, so let's talk about
that arrived.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
All we need to do is to see how we can make it work, so that it will not move and midway.
It should be a brand new vehicle. Why do we need to make it work? You need a driver for that.
You know the man. I said it. I said the man we have in the saddle of leadership.
Yes.
He's a very smart man.
So you need a utility vehicle.
It's very smart.
Not a saloon car.
So they must put on some thinking cap. They should have more strategies. More strategies.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it to their chest. And do you see when you are backing on a war, the strategies they are more important than those in the war front. They are more important than those in the war front.
All right, so let's see how those strategies will be driven. But let's domesticate it a bit further. Edo State, all right? A time there was when Oshomole was the governor of Edo State between 2008 and I think 2016, yes. Then you had a man like Dan Obi. Yes, as the opposition leader in the state at that time. Well, we take another break, everyone.
Oh yeah.
We appreciate your understanding. Again, we apologize for that glitch. But let's just begin to wrap things up real quick. So I was saying, Destiny, a while ago, that a time we had Comrade Adams Oshomole as governor of the state for 8 years. And Dan Obi, who then was the state chairman of the PDP, later to become the South-South leader of the PDP, is today regarded as the most effective, the most vociferous, the most, to use your word, fervent opposition leader that perhaps the South-South itself, not just Edo State, has ever produced since 1999 till date. Talk to us about how effective or otherwise opposition is today in Edo State now that you have Senator Monday Okpebholo as governor.
Yeah, I think, to be very sincere, you see, there are different ways, of killing a rat.
All right, let's tie this up real quick now. So, I don't know, talk to us about how effective or otherwise opposition is in the state.
I'm happy that's equally your own state. And,
Even though I've not been home for, over 2 years.
Yes,
right.
You see, there are different ways of killing a rat. You can use the pointing, you can use that trap, those days when we were little kids, to catch it. So there are different ways of killing a rat.
So how's the opposition killing rats now?
Perfectly. It's doing well. You know, the man is has some brain. It's not an agbero.
When you say the man, what are you referring to in this case?
That's the acting chairman of the PDP, as we speak very just.
Right. Still, Dr. Anthony
Azegbemi. So it's not an agbero. It's a refined man, schooled in all facets of human endeavor.
So how
I'm not saying that OC Dan is an agbero. But your guess is as good as mine. So it's a refined man. So that's why I use the word. There are different ways, of cleaning it out.
Because I had to reference Chief Dan Obi, given that he was the #1 checkmate, so to speak.
But I'm happy.
So who's playing that role?
You see, I'm happy. You know, I'm happy. You're prominent. You're visible in the door then of why we're in the civil society that when they abuse Oshomole in the open, in the night, there is one, hideout, big stouting and pepper souping. You heard it that time. Now, talking about Dan, when they abuse Oshomole in the open, in the marketplace, they will go to the lounge to pepper soup and big stouting. Yeah, even at the time there was some pictorial evidence to show. So for me, that's why I use the word that Dr. Anthony is a refined man, schooled.
He's not pepper souping too.
No, it's not a man that want to. I don't try to be very careful. But the man, if you ask me, although we've not attained that level of politinking, Obaseki brought in some politinking that is not, it's not for this era. It's not for this now. We've not attained that level. That's where he missed it.
So he moved ahead of his time.
Exactly. That's where he missed it. Like for instance, I was a council chairman. Let me quickly say this. We were giving income and expenditure at every month end.
By the state government?
Yes, as council, we're giving income and expenditure. Even why in the first 6 months, I used my Sienna that I used to campaign and my wife's Corolla as my official car. Even when we applied to buy Prado, he called us for a meeting. He said, "Look at the financial status of this state and the nation at large." As we speak very just now. So he talked to us to look at why we should not, have SUV, a Prado, because of the economic situation that was prevailing that time. So for us, we saw reason and we decided to jettison that quest to get a Prado. And in turn, for me, I went and I bought a utility Camry 2020, I think 2014. Belgium as official car. And when we were leaving, they did not allow us to go. Ordinarily, what is becoming a ritual, as the executive chairman is leaving, you go with the car, the official car. But he did not allow us to go with the official car.
So he retrieved those cars?
Definitely. So that's why I said, yeah, to some extent, he tried to take us to where we are not yet, So for me, that's why you must give it to him. But this one, that's why I said some of them refer to him as the next of kin. And I've explained. And from what is happening, there's a pointer indeed. He's truly a next of kin.
Interesting. But let's wrap it up now. Obviously, we are spotlighted Edo State. But let's use that as a basis to talk about subnational governance. Every time we talk about issues, things that are wrong with Nigeria, factors that need to be corrected, we always point to the federal government, to whoever is the president at that point in time. How much are the people, the citizens, Nigerians themselves, holding governors and state governments accountable?
Oh yeah, I'll be very blunt. Although I'm not a machine. I'm not a computer, the garbage in, garbage out. It is straightforward. The buck stops at the president's table.
Why is that?
As we speak today, you and I know that we are not running a true presidential system. Even as I'm here before you, I don't know the system of government we are running. I'm as confused as my governor when he was doing, the other governor when he was presenting the budget.
But you call it
confusing me.
You called it democracy a while ago.
It's a democracy, but the system of government we are running.
It's not clear.
I'm confused. I'm a student of history. At least I have seen the 4 walls of the university. But I can't, whether it's quasi or it's presidential or it's, just call it. At least, you and I know that the United States of America is running through presidential system of government, where powers goes down, where you have the local government having their security, you having state, creating state police and what have you. But today, who's in charge of security in this country?
That conversation is ongoing. State police. And
it's ongoing.
Evolution of power.
Definitely, we need all of that.
Right.
So for me, I don't know. For instance, what's the federal government going to do with agriculture? Then what is the federal government doing with policing my village at Igobazowa? Every crime is local. Every.
The president has just told, President Bola Tinubu has just told his Brazilian counterpart, talking about Lula da Silva, that he would remove in his government all the obstacles in the area of agriculture. So don't you think that's a good start for whatever is well?
That he will remove
all the obstacles hindering agricultural development.
It's a message. If I tell you that, tomorrow I will get you a Cadillac. It's promising. But is it, do you know if I will do it?
Because that's where our conversation this morning all started from. To understand really where all of this is heading, for many Nigerians, 2027 is a bit far flung. However,
very far.
It looks like it's
very far.
Tomorrow morning.
So that is why some of us are a little bit taken aback, and we've concluded that this photocopy government, that they are not sincere. But it was still early in the day to embark on campaign when the election is 2027. We don't know how many of us will see 2027. Do you know, as we speak very just now, since this, insanity, when I say insanity, this campaign, governance is in comatose in this country. That's the reality. I know some persons will say, but that is the reality. So for me, it was too early in the day, just barely a year plus, started campaigning for 2027. Just to tell you that there's something is amiss. Something is amiss. So for us, as a well-meaning Nigerians, we must call a spade a spade. It's never a garden fork. That's why I keep on saying this anywhere I go, that any society that recompense defective deportment, fabricate a moral peril that will erode that humanity, that society. And I used the word earlier, I said it's not, that's exactly what we are facing in this country. When you have the least of us presiding over majority of us. You saw what happened not too long ago when, with humility to the senator, Oshomole. For me, where he schooled a whole professor in one of their interviews that they were screening for to be a member of INEC, commissioner, one of the INEC representing Rivers. He schooled that professor. You see, my grandmother again would say, if you decide to say this is your suit, it's nothing before you, they will use it to clean the floor. Permit me, our professors in this country, they have so led themselves to be bastardized and humiliated. If not for Tinubu, I must give it to him. Thumbs up. They are sensitive persons that by now that I see as God, as I see them as my God. But He has come up to say to see them, and they have fallen as a pack of cards. You see, that's why they say that every society, deserve the kind of leadership they want. Indeed, Tinubu is the leadership we want as of today. But the rest assured, it will not be the leadership we want tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm able to say. Look at what he's doing to our judiciary. Look at what he's doing to all the security formations. When the security formation leave the shore of this country, you hear the UN giving them brilliant performance. But here, they are incapacitated. Something is amiss. Something is amiss. You are not getting me. That's why I said that he has, I give it to him. He has so rubbish there. Look at our professors. Look at the one in INEC. That's a man that I so much respect. See, if you cannot stand for what you believe in, you are nothing. You must be known for something. Don't allow, it's even there in the Bible, that the love of money is likened to women. When a man loves, it's not something in the Bible. The rest is history.
All right, let's wrap it up from where we started. Where we were going to end a while ago, Edo States, on a final note. When Obaseki was governor, especially within his first 4 years, he was vehemently accused, rightly or wrongly, of outsourcing all the projects to Lagos States. They said he would bring people from Lagos to do even things like a school. I mean, that was how much he was accused at the time. Now, the coin has flipped. Today is a different governor from a different party who is there, and he's been accused of ethnic bias. There are those who say he only appoints people, for the most part, from Edo Central, which is his homeland of Asan land, and all of that. What exactly is wrong with the system of our state governors?
Let me quickly say this. Let me start by saying this, that Okpewolo must, every morning, before he starts praying, must pray for Obaseki before praying for himself and praying for the government. You ask me why? Obaseki, if not Obaseki that initiated the Ishan agenda, perhaps by now, you saw what happened with Oshomole. Oshomole has already nominated and blessed Edo South candidate in the person of
Dennis Idahosa,
who
at the time was at the House of Representatives.
The House of Rep, which was a Benin speaking from Edo South.
Today the deputy governor.
So that's why I said, if he's wise and he's truthful to himself, before he starts any liberation, he must first of all pray for Obaseki. That's the gospel truth. Obaseki is a detribalized person. So the issue of them saying going to Lagos, yes, even some of us, we raise the issue. But again have a second thought.
But was that factual?
No, but again we have a second thought.
Was that factual?
I'm coming, I'm driving there.
Let's establish that.
No, it's not the garbage in, garbage out. I'm not a machine. We don't see there was some of us, we raised the concerns
and criticized them.
No, not necessarily criticized. We raised the concern before him. Again, the persons that were brought in from Lagos, 99.9% they were indigent.
Based in Lagos.
Some of them here and there. And we now say because they are based in Lagos, they are no longer an Edo indigent. I said that's another question for another day. When some of us confronted him, he had the humility, despite he was a governor, to explain to us. At any rate, even there were some, even those residing, well-known politicians, and some of us that are good in some of the areas he want to engage them in. He engaged them. So for me, yes, politics. If a politician praise you to say, you're fantastic, you must go back home and go and look at what you are doing to yourself. I don't know if you are getting me. I use the word, I'm not talking about the electorate.
You mean a career politician?
There is a difference between the politician and the electorate. The politician, they give you thumbs up. there's something you are doing to yourself unknowingly.
So you have to double check the
You have to double
commendation.
check.
Well,
The only good praises
Yes.
is from the electorate. The people that are there in the street, the downtrodden, or perhaps what they would refer to as the talakawas.
all right. Destiny, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for coming.
Always my pleasure.
We find this very valuable this morning. I've been talking with Destiny Nabulele. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party, former local government chairman, that is talking about Ovia Southwest local government. 6 months in the House of Assembly, where he also moved on to do half a year at the State House of Assembly until he was removed by the court. And then he's a very staunch supporter of former Governor Gordon Obaseki, and today he says he does not...
I'm a supporter of Aswe
Exactly, the man who is in contention with the Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo. But he also says that, look, I'm not yet working for the coalition, but I believe in whatever it is they are pursuing, because according to him, by his own assessment, it means well for Nigeria. Well, we keep our fingers crossed and we continue to watch these events as they unfold. We'll take a quick break at this point. Coming up shortly is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobuno. Stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome to Social Buzz on Global Morning. I am Ogochukwu Mobuno. Well, today on Social Buzz, we'll be looking at what exactly is trending on the internet. Well, an arrested Islamic cleric identified simply as Kadir for allegedly raping an 8-year-old girl in Ede, Osun State. The incident, which occurred at Bambusaya, Arakaide, led to a protest by an angry mob who had attacked the suspect after he was seized. Well, spokesperson of the command, Abiodun Ajelabi, who confirmed the incident to the Punch on Saturday, which was July 5th, said, police operatives were deployed to the scene after the matter was reported. And we deployed operatives to the scene. When our men got to the scene, the Ometeku men who arrested him handed him over to us, and the PPRO said He is in our custody already, but we want the division to investigate before the matter is transferred to SCID. That is all that is available for now, according to, them. Omoteko spokesperson Idowu Yusuf also confirmed that the incident, the suspect is an imam of a mosque who also has an Arabic school in the area where he's teaching students Arabic. Further investigation is being done by the police, and he said on how the suspect was arrested, a resident of Babansanya Araka, who spoke on a condition of the anonymity, said the victim was discovered bleeding, prompting her mother to inquire from her what had happened as she had gone missing a few hours earlier. The victim, about 8-year-old, was missing for some hours on Saturday, and her mother was already looking for her. When she was found, she was crying and bleeding. She was taken to the hospital in Ede, where she was checked. The residents actually confirmed all of this. This is a girl under your tutelage. I don't think things like this should be happening in 2025, 21st century, where everyone, you can actually get any girl you want to that is of age. But, for a child that is still a minor and under your tutelage, this girl respects you so well because you are her tutor. So it would be nice to see things like this. But then I'm so happy that the community actually protested. They came together and protested against this kind of behavior. We've seen things like it. We've seen rape case, adult rape case. But then that of minors, it's really, really unacceptable. What exactly would you say the minor did that actually attracted you to her? Most times men give excuse of, oh, she's putting on a skimpy dress, or she's actually exposing her body, or her parts are actually exposed, and that is what actually attracted me to her. But for a child who is 8 years old, well-dressed, covered, under your tutelage, what actually dragged you to her? At this point, Nigerians will always call it is the work of the devil, but then the devil sometimes don't even know what we are doing. This is actually not the work of the devil. It is you who lacks self-control and who lacks self-discipline. Because tell me what an 8-year-old girl at that age would know, that you have to drag her and rape her. It is really, really bad. And I'm so happy that the police have taken up this case. But then again, we're definitely going to look at what people are saying on social media. Social media, they'll definitely have something to say. So we are going to be taking our comments right away. And our first comment is coming from Helen Victoria 100. And Helen says, allow children to grow. Definitely allow them to grow. Allow them enjoy their youthful, their childhood age. Allow them to go through this process. And when they are mature enough, you can take up a wife. This is just a minor. Well, the next one is coming from Ayeni Dami too. And Ayeni says, Chai, why are they ruining young children? Now that child will grow up scared and traumatized. What is his satisfaction in this? Honestly, what satisfaction do you have, raping a young girl? The pain she goes through, she's crying, she's pleading at that time, but then you kept on going on and going on. This kind of people, these are the people that, people decide to take matters to their hands and, jungle justice is being served. But no, thank God for the police and the Omotekun in that state. Well, the last but not the least comment today is coming from Chinazom Favor. And Chinazom says, those people over there are slow, very slow. They would have done the justice before handing his emptiness to the authority. Well, Chinazom, at this point, will say you are really, really angry. Honestly, everyone has to be angry, even if that child is not your child. But then for a mother, if you have a child that age or even around that age, of course you'll be angry. So I'm so happy that the women of that community took it up and actually protested against this behavior. Because if they don't do that, there are so many children that will be going under this kind of punishment, this kind of whole incident that is not favorable. This child grows up and is traumatized. This child grows up and is not happy. This child grows up and becomes scared of men. But then, thank God for the authorities, and thank God for justice. Well, that's all we have for you today on Social Boards on Global Morning. I am Ogochukwu Mobno. I'll be leaving in the hands of the Global Morning crew as Global Morning continues. So stay with us.
Well, it is worth noting that election campaign has not officially kicked off, of course, as dictated by the Independent National Electoral Commission. However, politicians, being whom they are, have started their talks and are driving towards 2027 with all of the elements we're seeing in play right now. Global Television, we shall continue to track this development for you, just to also establish that the guests on this program, as well as other programs, their opinions. On behalf of my colleagues who have made this program a success, we say thank you to you for watching. I'm Uyag Mofrebe. I'll see you again.